So the most important thing always is to take the idea that you see in the deck and almost immediately either make a game or add something to an existing game and just see how it actually feels when you try to do it. If you like the results, great. If you don't, then you try again. You maybe try it from a different angle or look for some other games for inspiration. But it's like learning anything else in life. The theory is only the beginning. The really important step is the practice, which is doing it over and over. And by the way, as a side note, because a lot of you here are going to be brand new at this, which is great. That's the whole reason AstroKid exists. If you don't love the way your first game came out, or even your second or third or 10th game, that is totally normal. And really, the only thing to do about that is to just keep trying, and you will get better. Everybody gets better at this. I don't think I've ever seen anybody on Astro Academy that doesn't improve at least somewhat. But you only improve if you try. So if you just read the slide deck and leave it at that, then there's nothing more we can do for you. But as long as you're putting the effort in, then you're doing the steps that everyone else that is good at this has followed. So that's all we ask. All right, so let me jump in. So, like I said, I'm picking lesson 2. There's 8 lessons, and if this goes over well, I'm happy to do more of these. If you guys have requests, I can talk through any lesson you want. Just let me know in advance, and we'll try to prepare one of our office hours days to go over it. I picked lesson 2 because it's a little more interesting than lesson 1, but it's still very much at the beginning of the kind of the learning journey of Astro Academy. So it's a good place to have a kind of accessible chat that everybody can be a part of. But like I said, if you want to know more about one of the other lessons, let me know. We can do another session about that. So the lesson 1 was about trying to put yourself in the mindset of a casual game creator. And a really quick recap on that. We use the word casual game pretty consistently at Astrocade because even though you are welcome to make any kind of game you want, the games that are the most successful tend to be on the casual side. So in other words, if you're playing like some 40-hour RPG on your PS5 or your Steam Deck or your PC or whatever, that's probably not the kind of gaming experience that people come to Astrocade for. So getting in the habit of making games that are a little bit simpler and a little bit more digestible is a very important step towards making a popular and successful game, right? And again, you don't have to think that way. This is really just saying if you want to make one of those games that blows up and gets millions of plays, these are the most people do to get there. It's ultimately still your choice, right? Yeah, and eventually we'll just port Astrocade to Steam Deck for sure. So lesson 1 is very, very simple, and it's really just trying to say, here's the way to think, right? Here's the mindset to be in. Lesson 2 is saying, okay, now that we're in the right headspace, what does the process look like? If I want to make a casual game, what are the actual steps? We don't want this to be mysterious. We want this to be really easy for all of you guys to think through and to take the steps towards doing it. And then if your game is good or bad, whatever, but at least you should have the process down. That shouldn't be confusing to anybody. So that's what lesson 2 is about. And the biggest lesson within lesson 2, the biggest idea, if there's nothing else you guys take away, please just always remember this. Core gameplay mechanic first, everything else second. So what is the gameplay mechanic? What does that mean? That's on this slide. I don't know why I'm jumping around. But think of it as a verb or an action. The gameplay mechanic is the main thing that you do in a game, right? You can have a game that has a million features and upgrades and shops and loot boxes and difficulty levels. That's all great, but all of that stuff is surrounding the core gameplay mechanic, which is the main thing you do, right? Here's a visual. I like this illustration because if you think about it, every game has a core mechanic at the center of that game. Whether you're punching or collecting or building things up or destroying things or exploring or whatever, that's the center of the game. It's the most important thing you're going to create in your Astrocade game. Because if that isn't really good, it isn't fun, if it doesn't work really well, nothing else matters, generally speaking, right? So the most important thing is to get that core mechanic. Now, everything else is built around it. It's kind of like layers of an onion or something. So if the core mechanic is at the center, the stuff that comes around it is like the next level up is making it look visually polished. So once the game works really well, then you can make it look pretty, right? That's kind of the next level. The next level after that is then you start building in extra features. I mentioned things like a shop, upgrades, power-ups, loot boxes, extra levels, that kind of stuff. You do that after polishing the core mechanic. And then finally, if you really want to zoom way out and you want to do world building and lore and backstory, that's all great, but this is basically the order that you follow. If you can imagine flipping this around, it would make no sense to say, first I'm going to invent my characters and my world, then I'm going to add extra features, then I'm going to make it look pretty, then I'll decide what the game is about. Like, that would make no sense, right? That would be like cooking dinner by starting off in the oven and then working back to the ingredients. Like, it would just be completely backwards, right? So that's the general gist of this lesson. Before I move on, does anybody have any questions? Is this all connecting? Is this making sense?
There's some interesting inside the chat
Mhm.
reaction happening from But When he said that he likes to invert the visual polish in the core mechanic because it motivates him to continue working on the game. And I
Oh,
feel the same way as well.
very interesting. Okay, so we are all in good company to go, oh, look who finally decided to join us. Looks like Toxic finally showed up. Thanks, bud. I'm just kidding.
My apologies. Had an emergency.
No, no,
Won't
no.
happen again.
I'm completely kidding. Nobody is held to any sort of strict timelines here at Astro Academy. It's very chill, very casual. By the way, for anyone that doesn't know, Toxic is here basically every day. He's 1,000 times more dedicated to me, and I work here. So he gets all the credit. But Knox just brought up a really good point that sounds like but when I, that's how I pronounce it, mention it in the chat, which is starting with visual polish and then moving on to your core mechanic. And what I was going to say is that I am the kind of person who almost values visual polish too much. Like sometimes to the point where I've made a lot of games that I think are gorgeous and beautiful, and they also kind of suck, right? Like they're just so pretty and they're so polished, and then by the time I get done with all the polish, I'm like, oh, I didn't make it fun. Whoops. So that's definitely a bad thing, right? But where I do completely understand what But When I is saying, and I think this is a fair point, is that everybody is going to value different things and everybody's going to think about creating a game a little bit differently. And you said something that was a really important point, which is if the visual polish motivates you, then that's very important. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to do a good job if they're not motivated. So if one of the ways you get yourself all psyched up to make an amazing game is to make it look awesome first, that's totally cool. Just remember that the reason you're doing that is still ultimately to get that core mechanic working first. Because it is much easier to take a core mechanic that plays great but that is incomplete and finish it than it is to go in the other direction, which is to take a game that has all this random stuff done and then try to pull it together with a core mechanic. That's really, really difficult. So if you've got your own personal process where you flip things around just because of your own kind of level of excitement, that's totally valid and you should do that. But at the end of the day, it is still ultimately really important that your game at the core plays well before you go too deep into any of those other directions. Even the visual polish, by the way, because here's what I would bet. And Knox, let me know if you agree with this. And but when I say the same question to you, I would bet even if you start off by doing some visual polish and effects, once you're done with the core game mechanic, you probably still add more visual polish after, right? Like you're not done with the visual polish in that first step. I'm guessing. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, at
Agreed.
every step of the way, you want to be able to
Exactly.
add
Exactly.
visual polish.
So,
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, it's almost like visual polish, core mechanic, visual polish, extra features, visual polish, backstory, visual polish. Like maybe it's the visual polish for you is like the mortar in between the bricks. That's also totally valid. But I would bet if you zoomed way out, you would still find that for your best games, that core mechanic was solid and dialed in earlier than the other steps. It's almost impossible not to follow that. And so the point of lesson 2 is really just to get you guys thinking that way. Because again, and I've done this, you're learning from my failures. One of the worst mistakes you can make is investing too much in the other parts of a game without being certain that the core mechanic totally kicks ass, right? Now, again, I'm picking up lesson 2 just as an example. Lesson 1 does introduce some of these concepts. So for anybody that hasn't gone through lesson 1, let me take a quick and hopefully kind of fun detour where I'm going to play a couple Astrocade games. And our whole goal right now is just to put on our core game mechanic hats and think about what makes this core game mechanic fun. And Jaeger, you're about to get a little bit of a name check here. So the first example I want to show is Stormjager's awesome dirt bike game. This is phenomenal. It's a great game, and it's a great example of what I mean. So I'm going to play this game, and I'm going to talk through it a little bit, but there's an important nuance that I think we should all keep in mind. So I forgot how to play this. Of course, I forgot. How do you play this again? I was just playing this yesterday. I'm blanking on the keys now. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So this is a game where you just ride this dirt bike over hills and you have to kind of balance your speed and the angle that your bike is pointing, because if you go too fast, you'll tip over, but if you go too slow, then you're not going to get a good time. And you go over these jumps. Okay, but at the core of this game, you know, all I care about is that it's just really fun to make this bike move back and forth. That's it. So to me, the best core game mechanics, they're not even really games. They're more like toys. Like think of like a really fun, stupid, mindless little toy, even like a fidget spinner or something. It has no purpose, but you just love doing it. There's something satisfying about the way it spins around or the way it makes clicky clacky noises or something like that. And you just kind of want to do it over and over. A good game mechanic has that quality where you're like, I don't even care what I'm doing. This is just really fun. So Jaeger has made this great game with like you click down here, you've got more tracks. Like I can play in this cool sunset desert. He's got the ghosting where it'll show my previous lap time. That's all great, but you know what? I don't even care. I don't even care about that because I have so much fun just moving the bike around that he could take all that stuff away and I would still play this game. So to me, you know you've got a really good game mechanic when you don't even really care that much about the larger game. You just love how fun that core mechanic is. Yeah, so Jaeger mentions that it's inspired by a game from when he was a kid. We'll get to inspiration in just a minute. But yes, this is a super well-made game. And I think the biggest takeaway is that if you have a game mechanic where even without any other feature, you're already having fun, that's when you know you've done it. And here's a few more examples. Knife Blitz 2 is another one of our classics. It's a really, really simple idea. The creator has added a ton of great stuff. There's bosses and there's power-ups and there's different kind of challenges. But I just want everyone to think about this idea. I'm just spinning the log and I'm throwing a knife. And there's little details that make it fun. Like the way the knife kind of bounces before it flies and then bounces again when it hits the wood and the wood chips come off. It's just really fun to do this. And in real life, there are like places you can go. Like these days, every downtown has one of these like axe throwing places where you just pay, I don't know, $20 and then you get like this area where you can just throw axes at a wall. Like that doesn't have any of this stuff. There's no bosses or power-ups, and yet it's fun to just throw the axes. And a game like this captures that vibe of like, just doing this over and over is really fun. Now, I just won the level and I got this little victory screen, but I don't care because I was already having fun and I was already very satisfied just doing this. Like, this is just a fun action, right? So the creator making this game probably had a pretty good amount of confidence as they were adding all those other features that they weren't wasting their time because they knew that even those features don't matter as much as how much fun the core mechanic is, and it's really fun. So this is what you should shoot for. Something simple, something almost instinctual. I kind of just play it by reflex and then build a game around it.
I'd like to highlight that the two games you just showed, they are two completely different games in terms of how much content there is. And Sturm's game is very, very, very simple, and it's still in
Yep.
the player's choice. There's no hats, there's no unlocks, there's no coins, there's nothing.
That is such a good point. So I was taking kind of the extreme point of view, which is that these features don't really matter as long as the core mechanic is fun. But Knox just pointed out that that's actually true. That's not just like me being rhetorical. You can actually look at the performance of these games. And by the way, the extra features on Knife Blitz are awesome. Like the creator did a great job fleshing it out. But Jaeger's game kind of demonstrates that you can still have a hugely successful game by just making the core fun. Now imagine flipping it around. Say this bike didn't move very well. Say it was buggy and it just didn't feel very responsive. And then he tried adding all the stuff that we have in Knife Blitz. He adds a shop and he adds, power-ups and all that stuff. It wouldn't make a difference because I don't want to play the core mechanic in the first place. So dressing it up in extra features is not going to make me any more interesting. Now, if you guys don't mind me being shamelessly self-promotional, I'll give you one more example. Actually, I have a couple more, but this is mine. This is Ragdoll Slingshots, and to me, this game is the best example in my experience of how the core mechanic is the fun part. Because first of all, I did not invent this. I made this game myself, but the whole concept is from Ragdoll Archers, which is just one of my favorite games of all time. I can just waste hours in front of that game, and I wanted to capture something like that on Astrocade. Now, there's a little bit of extra depth. There's this coin system, and you can go into a shop and you can buy some stuff. But honestly, I don't really care about that. I just love how fun it feels to pull this thing back and watch the ball, the rock, I guess, bounce when it hits the guy and how the guy falls over and how sometimes he goes over the edge or he like clings to the side of the platform in a funny way. That is so much more fun than any extra feature I can add. And so even when I was playtesting this game, I was watching people play the game and just kind of get lost playing it because the concept is just really fun. The core mechanic is inherently like a fun toy. And that's how I knew that, yeah, I'll add some extra layers, but I don't really need those. This is already going to work pretty well. So it's an example of how the moment you start playtesting your game and you see your playtester just kind of actually have a genuinely good time, Yes, you can keep adding polish, but that means you've already kind of got to you're already in the end zone basically, which is really really good. That's the sign you want to look for. Two more quick examples. I kind of want to emphasize Knox's point that this is a quality you can find in any different kind of game. It's not like just one type of game does this. So here's another one. Skull Hunter has made a bunch of these merge games, and on the one hand, he's put a lot of detail and craft into it, but on the other hand, look how simple it is. Like, there's no currency, there's no score, there's not even really a background, but it's got this cool idea of like when I combine two planks, I get this platform thing or this wood pile, and when I combine two of those, I get this, whatever, a foundation thing, and I build up this house. And this process of spawning a bunch of level ones and then merging them to create level twos and to create level threes, this is just fun. You kind of just get lost doing this, right? Now, if he wanted to, he could add a bunch of other stuff. But again, this isn't player's choice, and it got there just because this core mechanic is really fun. And then one more example, I think you guys get the point, but I just really want to show you the diversity of different ideas that all have this quality of being inherently fun. This is Slice Rush. Really, really fun game. Let's just do endless mode where I don't even care about the level. It's just one tap. Look at me, terrible. Whoops. One tap, and I'm bouncing, and I'm controlling how I'm bouncing. And if I bounce in the right area, I slice everything in half. Like, it's just that simple. It's so much fun, and I could just kind of do this all day. Even if I'm not looking at my score, I don't care what level I'm on. I just want more stuff to slice. And the way I do it is so effortless that it kind of feels like I have a magic power. I'm a flying knife. I'll cut anything, and that's the headspace I'm in. So these are all examples of games that are completely different, but they all have some super simple, super fun game mechanic at the core of that game that makes it really addictive and really sticky. Okay, thoughts, questions? I'm kind of catching up on the chat. What do you guys think? Yeah, Toxic points out Merge is a funny example because, Merge games are pretty easy to get started. In fact, you can kind of one-shot them pretty well. So a lot of people are making Merge games. That is a very competitive category. But the point being is that it is still fun. I mean, I've played Merge games on Astro that for whatever reason did not blow up, but I still had fun playing them because merging is just a fun game mechanic. Okay, so this is the bulk of the lesson. The big idea is getting everyone to understand that on the one hand, you kind of don't have anything if your core game mechanic isn't fun. On the other hand, if you can just make it fun, you've almost already won the whole battle, right? So then the question becomes though, like, wait a second, where does the idea for the game mechanic itself come from? And the answer to this, hopefully, will be reassuring to people who are thinking, I'm not some game design genius. I'm not going to invent the next great concept from scratch. That's okay, because most people don't. And by the way, I'm sorry, this deck was not designed for presenting. This is meant for you guys to read. It's just a lot of text. So I apologize for that. It's really not ideal for this kind of thing. So I'm just paraphrasing. But there are these three kind of concepts that I think of, which is there's the rare case where sometimes someone, of course, does every now and then invent a brand new game mechanic from scratch. But much more common is people adapt existing game mechanics. Game mechanics are kind of like jokes, which is that everybody knows a bunch of jokes and maybe you're really good at telling the jokes, but it's pretty rare for someone to actually invent a brand new joke from scratch. That only happens every so often. Most of us just repeat the jokes that we hear, right? And honestly, game mechanics are the same idea. And as long as you're not copying every aspect of a game, then there's nothing wrong with that. Like you're not being uncreative, you're not being a thief. It's just, again, it's like telling someone else's joke. Nobody accuses you of being a thief just because you repeated a joke you heard, especially if you kind of tell it in your own way, put your own spin on it. That's even better. And by the way, there's one other category, which is nowadays, this wasn't true in previous generations of game design, but nowadays, inspiration for game concepts comes from like random places. So we'll talk about this more in a second, but it's kind of a funny side note. But here's an example of what I mean. So everybody knows Candy Crush, right? But depending on how old you are, you may not know that about 25 years ago, there was a game called Bejeweled, which was like almost the exact same game. And Bejeweled in its day was also really popular. So it's not like Bejeweled was undiscovered and then Candy Crush made it popular. Both of these games were really popular. But Bejeweled did it like a decade plus before Candy Crush came out. And in fact, Bejeweled didn't invent the concept either. Match 3 goes back to this game called, I think it's called Same Game, from literally 1985. Like an insane, like decades ago is how old that is. And of course, that was taken from the ancient Babylonians. So Match 3 games are really, really old, and yet Candy Crush is a current title. I mean, these days it's kind of old, but it's modern. People know Candy Crush. And they didn't invent it. They just made a really beautiful game around that concept. But they took the game mechanic from older games. And yes, as Moss asks, it is true that I didn't meet caveman so much as I was kind of raised by them. My pet wasn't a T-Rex, so it's a common misconception. T-Rexes are way too dangerous. I did have a Stegosaurus, though. Let's see. My mom still plays Candy Crush. Exactly. And I'm going to go out of my way and bet that your mom does not necessarily know the history of Candy Crush. She probably doesn't know that it was taken from Bejeweled in Same Game in Babylonia. She's just playing a game that she thinks is fun, right? And so what's important about making a game is not inventing something brand new. It's about taking something that's probably already successful and then just doing something fun and original with it. But that's much easier than inventing a game mechanic from scratch. My grandma has level 16,000 in Candy Crush. I think, just about everybody has an older family member who's obsessed with Candy Crush. So if anything, it's not even the game that we know anymore. It's watching our family members play Candy Crush. And look, Toxic says I have hours and hours in Bejeweled.
I do.
I love it. Okay, let's see. So that's the biggest idea. The biggest idea is the pressure is not on you to invent something brand new. The pressure, and it's much lower pressure, is just to have fun turning something successful into your own version of that thing that's successful. And here's just more examples. Angry Birds was built on a game called Crush the Castle. Words with Friends, of course, comes from the old board game Scrabble. Farmville was modeled on a game called Farm Town. I mean, some of these actually are kind of like ripoffs, but the point being is like Subway Surfers, Temple Run, basically the same game mechanic. Survivor.io, Vampire Survivors, which was itself inspired by a game called Magic Survival. It goes on and on and on. You can just find example after example. And as a general rule, these developers did a really good job because they didn't have to invent the wheel, kind of pun halfway intended. They just had to take an existing wheel and make it really cool and put their own spin on it. So you can find examples for game mechanics anywhere. So there's sites that have games kind of like ours, like Crazy Games, Pokey, and Armor Games. These are just online casual game portals. They're different from Astrocade because people just make those games on their own and submit them, whereas Astrocade is all about people making the games within the platform. So all Astrocade games are made for Astrocade. We don't like buy games from elsewhere. But we're in kind of the same genre. We make these mobile-friendly casual games. So you can find a million great ideas there. By the way, these days, we have, I think last I heard, we literally have 75,000 games on Astrocade, which is insane. So you can find tons of great ideas even on Astrocade itself. You don't have to leave the platform. But if you do, you can go to these sites. You can, of course, check out app stores. What are people streaming? Just see what people are playing on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, and that'll probably give you some ideas of what game mechanics are popular. And then, of course, UEFN, Roblox, even these 3D gaming sites, they're also a great source of inspiration for two reasons. One is because lots of people make 3D games on Astrocade, so that's simple. But even if you want to make like a simpler 2D game mechanics can often work in like different dimensions. Like a 3D game can often be made into a 2D version and vice versa. So ideas are everywhere. And then one more fun note, I mentioned earlier, there's like these emerging ways to come up with ideas. One thing that's happening a lot these days is people go on like TikTok and they just look at viral video categories. And a lot of the time, those give you ideas for like a totally brand new game mechanic. Like there are a ton of power washing games on Astrocade and on other game sites. Power washing, hydraulic press smashing games, and those generally came from like viral video categories. They didn't even come from other kinds of games. So if you really want to be kind of different and stand out, see what everyone's watching on TikTok. Look, it could be like an ASMR video or something like that. You'll find an idea there potentially that you could almost make it interactive, and suddenly that's a game concept, right?
Right. I mean, I made a game about chopping down a tree. So, and that inspiration came from a game on Steam. So it's really, you can find it anywhere pretty much you look. You don't even need to look in a game. You can just go walk into a room and go, what task in here could I turn into a video game? I do it all day long when I'm at work, making pizzas, helping customers, what have you. And then honestly, that's how I got my tree chopping game. It's like, what task is could be repetitive that I can turn into a game that could potentially be fun. And I had my issues with how much fun I thought a tree chopping game would be. But I started with the core mechanic and I built it up from there. And at the end, I was very surprised that people actually wanted to chop a tree down.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a great point. I mean, now Toxic is a special case because he is literally a lumberjack. So he comes home from the forest every day having actually cut down trees, and that's where his idea came from. But you don't have to be a lumberjack like Toxic. You can just be a normal person that doesn't wear flannel, and you can still come up with a great game idea. But
What's wrong with
either way,
flannel?
no, nothing's wrong with it. But it's stolen valor. We can't wear your uniform. I mean,
Okay.
we haven't served.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So
Yes, I
this
am.
all kind of adds. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just answering a question in chat. You're good.
Okay. Uh, Moss, don't blow up the spot. Come on, he's trying to keep that secret. So this leads to what I call the 70-20-10 adaptation strategy. So this is an easy way to think about it. 70% of your game can basically come from a successful formula. Like you can just copy that stuff because that's kind of the mechanics. That's the stuff that most people don't reinvent, right? But then 20% on top of that could be ways to actually improve the game. Like for instance, Toxic actually is an interesting question. You got the idea of a tree chopping game from something you saw on Steam and perhaps your actual day-to-day occupation. But were there little changes to the gameplay that you made, either because you thought they could be improved, or maybe because it was how you made it work on Astrocade? Like how literally directly copied was it?
Well, I actually downloaded the game and played the game for a good hour to get the feel of the mechanics. And at first, I wasn't going to do well. My games were always roguelike, and so I felt like once the core mechanic was down, which was the chopping of the tree, I then went to the visual pleasure, which was the tree falling. And once I
Mm.
started to get the visual pleasure done, I started to think, how could I make this better, or how could I increase the replayability of that? And in my opinion, I'm a big fan of roguelike games, and I think that simple games such as chopping down a tree would benefit from a skill tree or some kind of roguelike ability. So then I added in, upgrades. So every time you level up, you get an upgrade. But then at the end of the round, you go to a skill tree and you select more upgrades. And by doing so, it kind of breaks up the repetitiveness of you just constantly
Right.
chopping down a tree. You get that little bit of a break, and then you go, oh, wow, look what I can unlock. And then you go back into the game with those upgrades, a little bit stronger and a little bit more enthusiasm about continuing with chopping
That,
down a tree, which is a
that's
pretty
perfect.
mundane task.
Yeah. So in other words, you got the concept from another game, but you kind of brought your own preferences and your own interests as a gamer to say, it'd be cool if I added this feature or if I focused less on this and emphasized this and whatever. So that's a great example of how even when you're taking an existing game mechanic, you're not likely to be copying it exactly. You're probably going to make some changes. Maybe as a gamer, you like stuff that's really repetitive, so you'll have more of that, or you don't like stuff that's repetitive, so you'll make your version of that game mechanic a little bit more varied. Whatever. That's the 20%. And then the last 10%, which ironically is actually the part that people might notice the most, is you just throw something totally original in at the very top, like the cherry on the sundae, which is sort of like theme, style, look and feel. So for an example, say I then wanted to make my own tree chopping game, I might follow a lot of what Toxic did, but maybe just for fun, I'm going to make my tree chopping game on another planet. So it's like an alien tree on some crazy planet where I'm using like a laser axe or something. That would be an example of it's basically the same game, but because the theme is different or the style or the visuals or whatever, it feels very unique. That's a really common thing. And the beauty is it's relatively easy. That part is just be creative. Just what are you into? What's your style as a person? Bring that to the game and it becomes more like your game, even if it's based on an existing game mechanic. And then one more note, this is if you want to be really ambitious. You don't always have to copy one game mechanic. So our very own Nox has demonstrated this. Nox made this really cool game called Flipper Watch Out. And Nox, you can talk more about it, but the basic idea is if you just combine Flappy Bird and Tetris, which sounds insane, and it kind of is, but that's an example of even though he didn't invent either one of those independently, he had a very original combination of those two things that is honestly a totally different game experience, but you can still see where the inspiration came from.
Yeah, I can quickly talk before we jump to playing your games, but I like to challenge myself at trying to create a new genre. And I think the hardest challenge when mixing different things together is finding the fun. that requires a lot of iteration and admitting sometimes that you're wrong.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. But I remember watching you work on this. Is actually the first Astro Academy season. We saw Knox do a bunch of iteration on this game, and you can just see how cool it is. Like it feels like Flappy Bird, but it also kind of feels like Tetris, which is just crazy. But it becomes this really fun, really original thing. So if you ever really want to go nuts, just take two totally different game mechanics and say, what would happen if I combine them? And this is a great example of that.
So I do a lot of
Okay.
reviewing. I do a lot of reviewing for Smart Model Access, and I'm sure some of you have communicated with me and Pika through tickets and whatnot. And I do think that Knox's game is a great example of we get a lot of Flappy Bird games, and we get a lot of Tetris games, and we get a lot of match games. And they've been done a lot, and there's a lot of competition, like I've said. However, when you take a game like Flappy Bird and you add your own twist to it, or you add your own uniqueness to it, and you make it stand out, um, that shows a little bit of originality. And I think that if you're going to do a Flappy Bird game or you're going to do a Tetris game, that you need to add your own spin on it. Don't just present, a Flappy game where you change the chicken out for a rooster or something. Add your own
Exactly.
spin on it. Add power ups. Change the way the levels work, or add some laser beams to the chicken's eyeballs, or add Tetris to it, or what have you. But yeah, I think
Exactly.
I always thought Knox that was an excellent example of what I have often thought about simple games.
That's
Well,
very
well,
well
thank
said.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, and great job, Knox. It really is a great example for other people to follow, and it's an example of how what you did wasn't easy. You put a lot of really hard work into that game, and it shows. But the concept is simple, which is see if you can combine two things. That's just a simple idea anybody can keep in mind. So when you're making your next game, it's an option. Consider the mashup approach. Okay, one last note, then we can wrap up this lesson. I like to emphasize that copying a game mechanic doesn't mean that creating a game becomes easy. And I mean that in a good way. Like you can still take a lot of pride in what you've done, even if the game mechanic came from somewhere else. So an example I like to point to is the AstroKid version of 99 Nights, which has taken on
Yeah.
an insane life of its own and has become this crazy kind of memeified thing that we've seen a zillion variations on. But now that history has become so dense and so crazy that I think it's easy to forget. It was originally just a 99 Nights in the Forest clone that Gabe and I collaborated on way back, like last year. And if you look at it, you can see the similarity, but they're totally different games. Like I tried to make it look and feel as much like the original as possible, but it was a 2D overhead, like isometric version of a 3D game. That alone is a huge difference. And so even though if you play both games, you can see a ton of similarities, we still had to think a lot about like how do we adapt this 3D game from Roblox to work in a simple portrait orientation 2D Astrocade game. So just because you've got that core game mechanic, it doesn't mean all the work is done for you and you don't have to do anything. If anything, the work is just beginning, but at least now you're doing that work on a really, really solid foundation. So I think that's pretty much everything you guys need to know about game mechanics. Again, I share this lesson just as kind of a fun way to talk through it, but everyone is encouraged to read through these on your own. Please ask in the channel if you don't have the link, but at this point, I think Pika has shared it 1,000 times, so I hope everybody's got it at this point. They're all pretty easy to read, I think. If they're not, let me know. We're always looking to update them. And we've got one last note before we move on. I just want to give you a preview. This is what Astro Academy is going to look like in the near future. So this is currently not pushed out to everybody, but we are going to be building all of the content directly into the site. So in your creator, when you're logged into your creator account, you'll actually see a link to Astro Academy on the sidebar. We're in the process of porting in all the lesson content, so it's not done yet. But if you just click this here, you will have everything that used to be in those Google slide decks built into the site. We're also adding a little bit of new content, so it'll be worth giving these a once-over, even if you've read them before, because we're going to add some new stuff. But everything, including animated Astra cheering you on, everything is now built into the website. So we're really looking forward to sharing that. It'll make it much easier to keep up with Astro Academy, and hopefully people will be able to find it a little bit easier too. Yes, you can have it. You will all have it very, very, very soon. It is coming shortly. We really are shortlisting this. Astro Academy is really important to us, so we're making this a priority to push this out. Okay, so that's it. I hope everyone has enjoyed. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not high quality. Give me a break. If not tomorrow, surely next week. Um, but we are really prioritizing it. Okay, so that's it for our lesson. Before we move on, does anybody have any final questions or thoughts or whatever opinions on this speed run of lesson 2?
I think that some people might be confused on what they're being expected to do or how fast they're expected to be doing it. And I think that some might be confused on how often they need to attend this class. So I was thinking maybe we could clarify that information before we move on to office hours.
That sounds awesome. Yes, great point. So the simple answer is that everyone is expected to do a few things to graduate Astro Academy. One is you've got to go through all the lessons, and again, they're designed to be read at your own pace. So there's no schedule, there's no timeline. Anytime you have time, they're all pretty easy to read. So get through the lessons, and one of the ways you can kind of demonstrate that you've got through the lessons is almost all of them end with a little quiz and a little exercise. So if you just click here, then this lesson is really exciting, lesson 2, because it's the first one that introduces this game design document template. So this is just a template we made that lets you organize all your thoughts. When you want to make a game, what's the core mechanic? What game inspired it? You take some notes. And each one of these sections corresponds to one of the lessons in Astro Academy. So as you go through Astro Academy, you fill in all of these, and by the end of the course, you've filled out your entire game design document. So that's one thing you'll do. The other thing is you have these super simple lesson recap quizzes. These are not meant to be like high pressure. They're just simple multiple choice. And the only reason they're there is we're not grading you guys or anything like that. And you can keep doing it until you get it all right. It's just a way to make sure you've memorized the key concepts. That's it. It's just to help you, but it's not supposed to be like homework or anything. But if you do those two things, you will for sure get the basic idea of each lesson. So that's the first thing. Just do the lessons. The other thing is we really do hope that you guys can show up for at least one office hours. But we're doing it every day, so you'll have plenty of chances. And as long as you show up for one, share your game, that's good enough. A lot of you show up a lot. Some of you show up every day. That's amazing. We would love to see as many of you guys show up as often as you want. But the requirement is just one. So we're trying to make it really easy. And then the final thing is put all that together and submit your game. That's basically it. So by the end of these 2 weeks, it'll be Wednesday after next is when we're going to end this session. We hope that you've had a chance to read through the lessons, show up at least once, and put it into a game that you can then share. If you can do those 3 things, you graduate, no problem.
Alex, where do I share my game?
Let's see. You can share your game in office hours, and that's to get feedback as you go. And then we're going to probably have something a little bit more official by Wednesday after next. But if not, you just share it in the channel or DM it to me, and we keep track of it that way. And I hear someone saying, what happens if I can't submit my game in the last session? There is also kind of a grace period. We don't want to put too many numbers on it because we don't want people gaming it. But if you don't have it done exactly on the last day, that's also fine. I mean, if you're done with it 3 months later, that kind of doesn't count. But really, let's say any time in the week after the end of the session is all part of the grace period of getting your game wrapped up. Moss asks, when are the next office hours and sessions? So we do office hours every day during Astro Academy. Normally, we do it Wednesday and Friday. It's always 10:30 a.m. Pacific. Yes, you can DM me, but when feel free to DM me if you want to do a friend request. You can do that too. But we do it every day during Astro Academy, and then we do it, as Pika said, we do it Wednesday and Friday when it's not Astro Academy. We are also adding a new thing. We're trying it out. We missed it this week because of the holiday in America, but every Monday we're doing an AMA where somebody from the Astrocade team will be there to answer questions about the product and all that. Yep, I put a lot of thought into my delivery but when all right. I think we've done it, guys. I think we have powered through this lesson. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And so now, as a special reward, I will criticize your games.
Woo!
Yay.
Who we got first?
All right, let's do it.
High Quality. He dropped his first.
Ooh, Erica, you're slipping.
Don't we do High Qualities last, though? I thought that was a rule from last month, wasn't it?
You know what, though?
Quality always went last.
Because wasn't the last game we played yesterday High Quality and Pika's collab?
I do believe you had trouble getting that Lambo.
This is like last time on Astro Academy.
Is the collab tool already out?
No, just
No, no, no.
remix
So,
back
yeah,
and
we
forth.
want to be clear. We would love to eventually have a kind of a system where you guys can actually collaborate live or whatever. But for now, collab, I think really just means they're kind of passing it back and forth. Actually, if you guys want to talk in the chat or share how you guys are collaborating, that would actually be great to hear.
I would like to point out though that 80 plus people voted yes, and only like 3 or 4 people voted I don't know what collab is or I don't want it. So I think that is a very, very, very highly requested feature.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, anyone that didn't do the survey, by the way, I actually offhand don't know where it is, but we did a survey recently for interest in new features, and yeah, that ranked very highly. But we always want to know. We do these surveys every now and then, but we are always open. If there's something you want, something you either don't like about how the product works, or a missing feature that you want, please tell us. We try to be as community driven as possible building this product. At the end of the day, you guys know what you want more than we do, so please be very vocal about that. So last time we played this game, we had this, on the one hand, really beautifully made intro sequence, but I thought it was a little bit long. Let's see if it's changed at all. So far, not so much. It's uh, it's a,
I
it's a
want
really.
voices here.
Sorry.
I said I want voices here. I want to hear these guys talking like you were
You gonna
talking yesterday.
Hey, get in, clean out the
There we
vault
go.
and get off simple.
Wow.
Simple, he says. You do this right, you're one of us. Capiche?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Now get out of here and don't disappoint me. All right. So I still think that could have been a little bit shorter, but ooh, are we starting in a new place? Mission steal.
Oh, wow.
Wow, this game is
Typical maneuver
brutal. Okay, let me get out of the street.
stage.
That, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna amend what I said. We always talk about, in one of the other lessons, we talk about the guaranteed win, which was do something where the player instantly wins a little challenge, they feel good about themselves. We don't talk enough about the guaranteed loss, which is maybe the game starts by instantly killing the player just to set the tone, let them know who's boss. So I think every now and then the guaranteed death is a great way to start your game, as this game has demonstrated.
Was that intentional,
I don't
Pika
care.
or High Qual? I needed. Well, I do because I want them to keep it.
Yes, I do. I agree. Every game should start with the player being instantly run over.
Well, it's cool looking, and it also lets you know, hey, don't walk out in front of cars. You know that from the very beginning. It's not even part of a tutorial.
Exactly.
Cars
I mean,
cars will
that's
kill
the
you.
tutorial most of us get when we're two. Okay, so we added the mini map, which is awesome. That's really cool. Click to expand. That's great. I think this is the Lambo I've been searching for 48 straight hours now. Um, I got that. That's great. But you know what? I do kind of feel now like now I don't have enough. I know I'm supposed to like rob a bank or something, but I feel like, does anyone else see where the quest information is? Because I am not seeing it at all.
I thought it was
Click
the.
the mini map, maybe.
Is it the
No, I
blip
did.
on the minimap?
Click
Out.
outside, press M to close. I mean, so I suppose I could just go where the blip is.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a little bit more guidance. And we did talk yesterday about like give me like also like an arrow that leads me to my next objective. A lot of games do that. And for super ADHD players like me who can't read or pay attention or even really keep our eyes open, it's really helpful to have an arrow that I can just follow. Also, this feels a little unfair. I'm supposed to like catch up with a Lambo, like it's a Lambo, guys. Let me see if I can let's steal a car that I can chase it with, I guess.
You need streetlights in the game, and then the Lambo and everybody would stop at intersections, and it would probably be a little bit easier to get a hold of that
Ooh,
Lambo.
good idea. All right, let's see. I'll take this cop car. Why is this so sluggish? This thing is barely moving. I think they took my feedback about the game being hard to control a little too seriously. Maybe I
Oh,
have to
Lambo
hold. Oh, when I
came to
press
you.
F to exit, but is there no? I don't know if this
Like
is a bug or
you're
if
like
I'm.
angled at the left. It looks like you're high centered on something. Or what about grabbing the blue car? Does it do the same thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
try to
see.
get out.
Steal parked car. Okay. Oh, this is
There you are.
better.
There you go.
Oh, but look at this.
You
It's
stop it when
starting.
you're turning.
Oh, I guess that is it. Yeah. So now here's the problem though. I can't use the car to like block the Lambo. So it's not like I still think even in a car, I'm ultimately gonna have to like catch up with it on foot, right? Oh, look at this. This is cool. What happens if I crash? Okay.
Dis-
Truck looks
Nothing.
good though.
Disappointment
Truck does look
happens.
good. Exactly. I was expecting a fiery explosion, and I
How
got nothing.
How is the collision between you and the buildings? Because I know we had
Well,
said something
actually,
about that
forget the
last time.
buildings. I think it is the turning thing, but I feel like I'm hitting invisible colliders here. Like, look at all this start and stop.
That's
Whatever the
weird.
explanation is, it feels like I'm running into constant obstacles. So Oh, and this is almost the same thing the cop car had. All right, so there's definitely something up with the colliders. So the two things, and by the way, we're trying to turn over a new leaf here at office hours, which is to go a little bit more quickly to make sure we get through more games. So I'm going to try to make this quick. I'm just going to say, this game is awesome, and the idea of high quality and Pika collaborating is super fun. So I really want to follow this game. But my advice is, let's just quickly add a little bit more indication of what the quest is, and work on whatever this collision issue is. Also, if my job is to rip off a Lambo, like hopefully make it a little more clear like how I do that, because walking up to a Lambo at 80 miles an hour doesn't really make sense. So those three things would be great, and then maybe we can just play it tomorrow or whenever you guys get a chance to fix it. How's that
Is the
sound?
core mechanic just to steal cars and then get other cars?
Well,
Is that what
that's
this
a
game
great
is?
question. Yeah, it's a good question. We should probably try to bring that lens into these games. So I'm assuming this ultimately is trying to be like the actual Grand Theft Auto, and the core mechanic there. I mean, it's kind of subjective. You can discuss it, debate it, what it actually boils down to. My take on Grand Theft Auto, and please share your thoughts in the chat if you disagree, is that the core mechanic is basically exploration, because that's what
Mm.
unifies all the different quests. You could be robbing a bank, you could be stealing a car, but it's really exploration and kind of character building. So you want to explore the city, you want to meet different contacts, get new jobs, and then do all of that to make your character kind of level up, right? And then really everything else, whether you're running, shooting, jumping, rappelling down a building, those are all almost like basically mini games that spin off of that core mechanic. But if you think about it, all those mini games wouldn't really count for much if people didn't love that basic idea of exploring a city and building up their character, because otherwise that would just kind of get in the way. But as that series has proven, because it's crazily successful, people really do love just exploring and building up their character. And then everything else they do along the way is kind of the bonus stuff on top of that. So that's how I would interpret. What do you guys think? Does anyone else have a different take on the core mechanic of Grand Theft Auto or this game?
Well, the core mechanic Grand Theft Auto is very story driven, and then I think that the secondary mechanic is the exploration, and I think that there's actually very little character creation or progression.
Well, when I say building, I just mean you're trying to kind of raise your status in the criminal underworld. So it's not necessarily like a level in an RPG sense, but it's like I did
Gotcha.
one job, it earned me this connection. I did another job, it unlocked this. I did a third job, and now I can talk to this guy. So it's kind of like making your way up in the world in that sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
They have three core mechanics: walking, shooting, and driving. That's what they do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what? That's actually a really good way to look at it too. I think for a complex game like Grand Theft Auto, there's probably a bunch of different ways to break down how you interpret the core mechanic, and many of them will be totally valid. And really, the only reason we're doing this at the end of it, because who cares, like academically, if we have like analysis of Grand Theft Auto, it's really just what can we learn from it. So one lens is Toxic is saying it's kind of a story-driven exploration game, which is totally makes sense. And then Nox is saying it's a walking, shooting, driving game, which also totally makes sense. And if those things are fun, you've done the hard work, and everything else is details. And in Grand Theft Auto, those things are usually pretty fun. Okay, let's move on to the next game. I'll do one more, and then maybe Toxic, you can take one if you want.
Sure.
Alrighty, this is Nova Strike, featuring Astrocade creators. What does that mean? By Astro X Play. Let's see. Defend the Galaxy. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of this like scan line effect lately. I think it's really cool, but I'm not sure why suddenly everyone's doing it. So if anyone has any thoughts on that, let me know in the chat.
I don't think people are deciding to do that. I think that Astro decides he's going to do certain things for periods of time.
I think you might be right. These ships appear to be flying backwards, which is funny. It doesn't really change anything. But so let's talk core mechanic. The core mechanic here, of course, is to move around, and it's not even to shoot because the shooting is automatic. It's an auto shooting game. So really the only core mechanic is moving around, avoiding hazards, and then positioning yourself so that when it does auto fire, you shoot the guy you're trying to line up with. This is a well-tested, proven. Wow, look at this. Okay, now I get why it's featuring Astrocade creators. So we've got name checks to all of our power users here. Okay, this is awesome, by the way. This is exactly what I've always thought Be Little looks like. It's amazing how they could just see into my mind's eye. Be Little, let us know in the chat if this is exactly what you look like or if it's only partially what you look like. This game has tons of great polish. This is so cool. But even though it has amazing polish and visuals and effects, it's built on a very simple, fun game mechanic, which is just moving around and shooting, which kind of everybody loves to some degree. I'm a big fan of it. So I'm having a really good time just moving my ship around. I like that the shield is square. You don't see a lot of that. That's kind of a cool detail. But I'm just shooting stuff. I'm just moving back and forth, and then all this cool stuff is kind of happening almost automatically around me. Like it takes very little effort to get power ups, to like level up my weapons, and then these these awesome bosses that are all. And again, that's exactly how I've always thought Momoko looked. I don't know how he got this so perfectly correct. And it's even like pink themed. What a cool idea of like putting
Cool.
actual people into the game.
What creator? What creator is this?
Game over. Momoko is relatively new on the stage.
Oh, this is Momoko's game. Duh, I know who that is. Never mind.
No, it's not Momoko's game. It's that Momoko is in the game.
Oh, okay.
It's Hef.
He?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ashif.
Cool. I have very little to say about this game. I think the game mechanic is great. I think it looks and plays really well. So what this game is also doing well, which I think is another thing that's easy to miss, is the game progresses pretty naturally, pretty quickly, and gives me a lot of variety. So like I played one level, and now the background is different. So visually, the game looks different over time. There's a bunch of different weapons, so the weapons progress and change. And I've already seen 2 totally different boss characters, which is also a really good sign. So people can play this game, and I wouldn't worry that people are going to get bored because you're doing a lot to keep them interested. So you've got a good game mechanic, you've got a lot of change and a lot of variety, and you've got a ton of polish. So I think this is great. I do think it's weird that one ship was backwards, but can't have it all. So yeah, excellent job. I don't think I have much to say beyond this. I will say this. How about this? If I have to find something to critique, it's probably a little too easy. Like I'm normally notorious for playing terribly because I'm trying to narrate at the same time, and even I can just kind of waltz through this game while I'm blabbing. So maybe you can introduce a little bit more difficulty. I think it should stay just as easy at the beginning. That's all games on AstroKit I think should usually start pretty easy, but maybe escalate the difficulty a little bit faster. That's maybe a thought, but it's a really small critique because this is a great game. So good job.
I just love that boss animation.
It's so cool, right? All right, Toxic, what do you think about taking the next one, which is Tanjiro's Ball Game?
I would love to do that, but unfortunately, I can't stream in this channel.
What? This is an outrage.
Alex,
cannot.
Alex, stop sharing, and maybe you're gonna
Okay.
be able to.
Oh, standard
hey, look.
tier.
Standard combo.
Hey,
This
what's up,
is Gabe, our very own resident game design expert and AstroK dev member. Welcome, Gabe.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome.
Now,
You're
remember,
welcome.
by the way, if any of your games are not performing beautifully, it is personally Gabe's fault. It's because he doesn't like you and he's stacking the deck against you. I just want everyone to know that.
Oh, I already know that.
We're gonna have to talk, buddy. We're gonna have to talk.
All right, so next up, we've got Toxic playing. Oh, sorry, let me zoom in. Okay. Take it away, Toxic.
All right. So we got. Actually, I don't remember what the name of this game is. Hold on. I don't think it has the title screen.
Ball Game?
It is Ball Game.
It doesn't have a title screen, which, by the way, I think is
Tanjiro's-
refreshing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. So this is Tanjiro's Ball Game, and I played this for a moment already. So it looks like it's a
I gotta
basic
go.
pool
I gotta-
game at first. Sorry.
I got to run. Thanks
Oh,
for
okay,
welcoming.
Standard. Well, thanks for dropping by. Hi, bye. All right, so without further ado, we got a pool game, and I have this theory about pool, that pool is one of the best games that there is, and that it's been around for a very, very long time. And if they could make pool any better, there would be a better pool game. So,
That's some theory you got there.
hey, that's true with a few games. I mean, you can't make Tetris any better. They've tried to many, many
Mm.
times. But anyways, moving
That's true.
forward, we got a pool game.
Ooh.
I like the sound effects.
Yes.
I did notice this at the bottom of the screen, and I think it's actually quite cool. However, it does cover the bottom of my screen and it doesn't move when I try to shoot balls towards the bottom. So I was thinking that you could move your pool table down and then move this all to the top, or do the vice versa. Because right now, watch, right? So it's covering the balls at the bottom of the screen. Although I can still see it, it's probably enough for me to make the shot if I didn't suck. I like the effects that happen when we're hitting the balls. The flash effect is really visually rewarding to me. I think it's pretty cool. The backgrounds are kind of covered up. I can't really tell what they are, but I still appreciate that you have a background. I'm a little confused because it says these are demons. Am I like vanishing? Am I banishing demons when I hit them into the ball or into the holes? Or a little confused other than pool what the point of the game is. But here, let's banish.
So the anime is
The
called
Demon Purge.
Demon Slayer. So I believe you were slaying balls.
Oh, I
Demon
Laying balls. That's what I do best.
thought this was based on K-Pool Demon Hunters. Nicely done. Thanks for the review, Toxic. I'm going to play one more because there's a couple games after that I played yesterday, and I think it'd be helpful if someone else played some of the games that I played yesterday to get some varied opinions.
I'll take over after.
And I'm just going to keep playing this pool game because I want to see what happens after I win.
By the way, we have this term we like to use, which is office hours nirvana, and you achieve the state of office hours nirvana if one of us stops caring about office hours and just plays your game because it's fun. And I think this game has achieved office hours nirvana with Toxic. He is ignoring all of his responsibilities and just banishing demon balls, which is a great sign. Okay. I'm going to share my screen, which might not be allowed. Oh,
Toxic, you
I've
have
been-
to stop
I've been
sharing.
banned from screen sharing.
Okay. Do I just relinquish my?
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
There we go.
All right. So, and again, in case anyone missed it yesterday, we have a tradition here when we play test games, which is you always start with a live browser window, so you can watch me paste it in and see everything from the very start. We want the whole game experience to be something that we're testing, because if the game takes like a long time to load or if there's some hiccup, that's just as important as the game itself. So we try to show everything live. All right, Neon DX Ball. I think this came up last week, and I remember really liking this kind of blueprint style title screen. Although I will say now that I see it, it kind of fights with the text. So even though this concept is really cool, it does make everything a little bit hard to read. That's just something to consider. Okay, wow. This has changed already a lot. This is actually very exciting. Looks like there's a lot going on that was not there previously. So far, this is kind of a standard breakout clone, but I like these question mark blocks. I guess the question mark blocks are the ones that give you power-ups or extra items. I've got like a sticky power-up right now where I can hold onto the ball a little bit, which is cool. And there's like a timer that appears right over the paddle, which is very handy. That's a cool idea. So we also talked last time about how the game has this kind of cool retro neon outline look. It actually looks a little bit less neon. I feel like maybe there was a glow effect that used to be there. By the way, I know the creator is here. So if Pika or if anyone knows how to like let in the creator to speak when your game is up, we're happy to hear from you.
This would be for Nazmul.
Yeah, exactly, Nazmul.
So I did some feedback with him after Academy yesterday. I think it was
Uh-huh.
yesterday. And basically, we told him that the game's fun, the game's mechanics are there, but it
Yep.
needed a lot more juice. And so I'm curious to see how far he went with that.
What's funny is I think Knox posted this last time. There was a very famous video from about a decade ago where I don't know if this is where the term juice was coined, but it's certainly where it was popularized. And it was this great little demonstration video from these two game devs about all the kinds of effects and style you can add to make a game feel juicier. And they, in fact, used a breakout game to demonstrate it. So that would be a perfect reference for this game. There you go. Knox has posted it again. So I'm playing through the game. I'm having a really good time. Breakout is a classic. This is a great example of how the game mechanic is not mysterious. We all know how to play the game. It's fun. People have been playing it for decades and having a good time. So I like it. And I definitely like the fact that the creator is clearly trying to stack it up with these power-ups and these extra like abilities. This one made my paddle wider. I guess it's a bad one, right? I think that killed me. So maybe I should avoid that. But it was the same color as a good power-ups. That was a little bit confusing. But this is a great example of taking a basic game and then adding your own ideas to it. So that's cool. I do feel like I don't know. I feel like I could still get a little bit more originality out of this. Like the visual styling of the outlines, I think maybe they could be a little bit more glowy or something, flickery, whatever. Right now it's the cool idea, but they feel a little bit plain, a little bit unfinished. And I think we talked last time with the creator about maybe it's got like cycles through different colors, through different levels, which maybe it does, but it still isn't really kicking in. I think maybe it could happen a little bit faster. But the point is, it's a really good foundation of a game. So I think all that's left is adding the juice and adding power-ups and then playtesting it to see what people like most about it. But yeah, it's in good shape. It's still kind of familiar with what I saw last time, but it's in good shape. Okay, let's see. The next game is Tidebound from But When I, and I loved it. If it's the game I remember, I played it already. It was great. I spent a lot of time just wandering around. So either I was going to say Tox or Noxic. Either one of you,
I'll do
either of
it.
you guys are welcome to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, we just had Nazmul here. Nazmul, do you want to come back? Give him a chance to talk a little bit, and then we'll share the stage with the next creator. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Hi guys.
Hey, Nazmul.
Hey.
There is nothing much to tell. I know I need to juice it up a bit, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll work on that. And other
Okay.
than that, I think is there anything else you can feedback?
Yeah, so
General,
it's kind of the stuff that I said while I was playing it. I think the core mechanic is good. You've got a very functional breakout game. Toxic pointed out, or Noxic, it's like Dragon Ball Z. They've combined Noxic is like the merge Nox and Toxic. But as Noxic pointed out, I do think you've got a lot to do with juice. Now, the fun thing about juice is that it's really easy and you can make very fast progress. So it can be everything from like screen shake when, like for instance, you just did that. When my paddle blew up, that was a great use of juice. The way the screen shook and my paddle broke into shrapnel, that was great. So you're already doing a good job with juice. I just think you need to do it for everything else. So here's a great example. When I hit a brick, I think it could be a little bit more exciting than just those kind of stock looking particles. Like it'd be really cool if the bricks themselves had like little pieces of shrapnel that fell down. It would really feel like I'm breaking something. And then when I hit one of these question mark blocks, let's see if I can do that, that should have a totally different vibe. Like if I break a plain brick, that breaks in one way. If I break a question mark, come up with like a totally different way. Like maybe that implodes like it's being sucked into a black hole or whatever, so that everything I do in the game has its own unique feeling. And once you've done that, then I think this game, even though it could be the same game mechanically, is going to feel like a totally different experience. So I don't have a lot of direct guidance because I think you should just be creative, but really just make a list of everything that happens in the game. When you break something, when you collect something, when you die, when you respawn, and just say, what am I doing for all those events in the game that makes them feel memorable and unique? And then that's it, basically. And that, by the way, is guidance for everybody. Whatever game you're doing, just make a list. It can be a mental list. You can even write it down, however your style is. Make a list of everything that happens in the game and just say, have I added something to make this feel like something? Like the player knows it happened. They know they got points. They know they got the power up. But does it have a feeling, whether it's sound or shaking or explosions or particle effects or whatever you want? But if you don't do that, your game is going to kind of feel sort of plain. So that's my advice. What do you think?
Thank you.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I also think the same. So yeah, either it's I have to use VFX to make player feel that something is happening, or sound effects. So for Astrocard, I think VFX is the perfect one because sound is most of the time like
Yeah,
muted.
exactly. That's a great point.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome to share again as you develop it. So keep us posted. We'll follow your creation of the game.
Sure. Bye.
All right. So next up, one of the halves of Noxic can play Tidebound. I will stop.
You just need to stop sharing. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, something's all right. I can't share still. Okay, hold on a second.
Can I?
Astro Home Explorer. Oh, Tidebound. I got it. There we go. Everybody can see this?
Whoa! Look at the title screen. This is new.
Incredible. Incredible. I don't want to click anywhere at the start. I want to watch it.
Exactly. Yeah, this game is a victim of its own success, right?
Absolutely. It's the frame rate is lagging on my computer, and I have a 4070 Ti, so I'm a bit baffled by it already.
Oh, side note, by the way, guys. Oh, look, host here is game, one of our OG Astro Academy legends. Welcome aboard, buddy. Quick note, though, you just raised a really important point, Knox, which is something we're going to focus on more during Astro Academy this session, maybe next week, is getting more into issues with runtime performance. So I asked in the channel yesterday, but please keep sending this. Any game you've got that has issues with runtime, send it to me. We're going to kind of unpack it on our side, and then next week we're going to start walking through tips and little techniques you guys can use to make your games run better. So just a side note on where this is going.
All right. So I'm going to jump right in, but before I'm going to do my ultimate test that I like to do is just to look if you have a loading screen before this. You do, but you still have voxel angler from what I can see.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, so
sorry.
you
I
changed
forgot
it.
to change that.
No worries. No worries.
Worries. All right, let's jump right in. You have a lovely tutorial, and there's not a lot of words, so I like that because I don't like to read. Quest, launch fish near the shore, perfect. Hold to cast, charge, release to throw. I like to play the game and learn while playing. I don't like to be told in a chat, and I think a lot of players feel the same way. Things need to be pick up and play, and if you can incorporate it to your gameplay rather than and keep it short with this gentleman, I think it would be even better because players, once they start your game, they want to start playing right away. When the shake appears, tap the target.
Yeah, and you know what? I think everything you're doing now would be fine if it just occurred at the point in the game where you do these things. So the tutorial is great. I just think it's happening too early.
So I have to go to
Or do
the
you think I
shore.
should add it? Like, when do you think I should add it in the game?
Well, so what we talked about yesterday, and it looks like you're already doing that, so you're on the right track. I just think you have to go a little bit further, is those steps that you walk through, like here's how to cast, here's how to shake, just do that at the actual moment where the player does it. So the first instruction should be go to the shore, and then the tutorial doesn't advance until he goes to the shore. Then it goes to the next one. Now press this button to cast, and then he has to do that thing, and then it goes to the next step. So basically, sync it to the actual game actions, and you should be able to just wish for Astro to do that, basically. Sorry, Knox, I didn't mean to talk over your
No, don't worry about it. It's all valid. You can use God Rays as well if you want to position where the player wants to go, or you can just highlight the place the player wants to go. Or if this gentleman here is the place that you have to go, you can put a gigantic arrow or something next to him that
Exactly.
says, I have to go there. I think that once you start the game, you want the player to feel comfortable with the controls first, and you want to give him a simple quest. And you don't want to penalize him for just exploring around because this island looks absolutely phenomenal. It did yesterday, and it still does today. It looks even better. But when the player is ready and feels comfortable with the controls, then you want to start, overloading his cognitive with more things. Like, okay, this is how we fish, and so on and so forth. Oh, God.
Whoa, you can swim now.
Okay.
You couldn't do that yesterday. That's amazing.
Thought you
Yeah,
could.
but I want to add like oxygen in the games. Like if you swim for too long, you just die and lose all your money.
Just like in real life.
So I have
I
a question. I know you can use boats on here because I've seen them for purchase. Do you have that in the game yet?
Yeah, they still don't work. I just tested and they still don't work.
Gotcha. Okay.
I haven't fixed them.
Oh. All right, so I got two little mini games. The one that fills up, the typical when you're fishing, you're waiting for a bite, and then I get the little mini game with a fish. It's not too complicated. It's not too difficult, so that's why the difficulty is pretty good. I don't necessarily see a difference, or I'm not necessarily enticed to shoot my rod further and closer to me. So I don't know if that's a necessity. If eventually you want to add some treasures that you need to be pinpoint precise when you're fishing, so that mechanic would serve its purpose there. But right now, I don't see a point for it.
I've played quite a few fishing games and quite a few MMOs that have fishing in it. You might think about doing like hotspots where you see a little pool of fish just kind of jumping in one
That's
spot,
a cool idea.
which would then allow or give reason for you to cast further or shorter out into the shoreline to kind of hit in that pocket of fish.
But actually, so the question for the creator: How did you put the fishing game together? Because I think it's great. I think the tapping the shake buttons and then keeping the thing lined up to catch the fish, that's awesome. Was that your idea, or did you ask Astra to do some of that for you? Like walk us through how you made that.
Oh no, there's just like a game in Roblox. It's called Fish, and I just I just took the mechanics from it.
Perfect. But no, that's great. That's exactly the whole point of this lesson, which is find a game that has good game mechanics, recreate the game mechanics, and then put your own little spin on it. So you've built your own game world around it, but you took game mechanics that you knew already worked really well. And I think you've done a great job combining those things. This is awesome.
I mean, overall, this game has a lot of potential. It's very busy right now. It's very laggy, so it needs optimization before you continue further. But I really can see people just sink hours into this game. And don't forget to save progression, please, as well.
Performance to performance, I feel that before you add anything else to your game, if you're having performance issues before you go any further, I would definitely tackle those performance issues, because once you start to build code and you start to get more and more inside of your code, it becomes harder and harder for Astro to be able to edit those and find the problems within the code. So when you start noticing that you're having performance issues, I would honestly drop what I'm doing and focus mainly on getting that performance back in line to an acceptable point.
Yeah, and to Toxic's point, if any of you guys do have games that are running poorly, like I said, we'll get more into the details next week. But in the meantime, if you just want to say to Astra, my game is running badly on phones, or my game is lagging when the camera zooms out, or whatever it is, just describe the problem, and Astra will often be able to fix it kind of magically. The only thing to watch out for, though, is after Astra has made optimizations, try to play through the whole game and make sure that nothing was broken or changed or whatever. If that happened, you can use the wish history to just go back, undo it. It's no problem. But definitely be careful, because optimization is important, but sometimes it will break other stuff. So just be careful.
Yeah, true.
And
That always happens to me each time I make like a big update to the game.
so I would like to point out, to add to what Alex just said there, I often, well, always in practice, if I have a bug in a game, I will attempt to fix it. And if Astro doesn't fix it the first time, I'll try to have him fix it again. But then I don't follow that rabbit too far down the hole. If he's not fixing it in the first few prompts, I will always revert back to the prompt right before I started trying to fix the problem, and then try to maybe word my wish a little bit differently,
Yep.
or maybe explain to him a little bit more in detail of what's happening. But don't
Yep.
go too far down a rabbit hole trying to fix a problem. Always revert back to a save point.
Exactly. And by the way, Belittle also raises a good point, which is that sometimes when you optimize your game automatically, graphics and effects will be changed or even sometimes removed. That's exactly the kind of stuff to look out for. So if Astra removes something or breaks something or changes something, you shouldn't have to accept that. I mean, most of the time. Sometimes it may be taken out because the thing you added was just too heavy and it can't run well with it. But most of the time that doesn't have to happen. So if you find that something you liked has been changed or taken out, just undo and try again. And as Toxic said, don't try again with the same wish, but try again with, like, maybe phrase it differently. Or even better, if you said, hey, Astra, make my game run faster, and the way it made the game run faster was by taking all the shadows out or something, which maybe you don't want, then you undo the wish, and you can say, hey, Astro, make my game run faster, but please don't take the shadows out. You know what I mean? Just basically tell it what not to do. And at some point, you'll get something closer to what you want. Okay, great. Well, thanks for giving us a run through on this one, Knox.
Yeah, can I just wrap it up quickly
yeah, please.
on you can ask Astra to create a debug menu for you so you can see the collisions so that you can debug them more easily. That's one thing.
Good tip.
Second thing, you can also tell Astra that, hey, I'm playing on desktop, so I don't necessarily want to see this hamburger menu over here, and I don't necessarily need as well all these whatever these icons are here. I don't understand what they mean. I know that I haven't.
Those are stats.
Right. I know that I'm fishing better because I'm upgrading my rod, but I don't necessarily know if you want to go into the nitty-gritty detail of adding particular stats to your rod, or just the fact that the rod looks really pretty and more awesome. It's enough for the players to understand that they do better.
I do agree.
And
with
that's
that.
it.
That's awesome. Great job, Knox. We really appreciate the review. Now, either half of the fused Noxic union can play the next game. I asked one of you guys to play just because I played it just yesterday. This is Build a Farm Factory Tycoon Sim Game Edition 3. Having just played it, I thought it'd be good for Moss's game to go through somebody else's review. So it's up for grabs.
Oh yeah, it's this game. I'll go ahead and take it. All right. So we played this yesterday. Welcome, Alex. I'm not Alex, but Alex. Alex, this game has been updated to be eye-catching and a
Well,
tad bit more accessible.
this is one way to get my attention. Attention gotten. Good job. Great job.
By Moss, also your pet Stegosaurus.
Wow. Oh, that hurts. But it's fair. It's fair. I asked for that.
Welcome. Roll for your first seed at the glowing pillar. I wanted to say yesterday when we were playing this that I really feel that this pillar is completely out of place for this game. I don't know if you want to keep it because that's the whole purpose of it, but for me, I feel like this belongs in some kind of ancient, ancient ruins or something with some kind of ritual people. But yeah, anyways, moving on.
Well, it's either a terrible idea or it's a brilliant idea. It
Agreed.
cannot be
Yep.
between. It's one of the two. Ooh, cool
What
sound.
happened? Oh, this looks
Press.
different, right?
That's 3D now.
Yeah. Okay.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right. I probably should have read there and I didn't read. Am I supposed to buy a seed? Here, I'm going to restart. All right. Welcome, Alex. All right. Roll for your. Oh, right. All right.
Oh, I see. So slide means like that slider. You know what? I'm gonna go for a Toxic's narration here. Quick side note, just observing the game. I think it would be really helpful in this game for the tutorials to appear next to the thing you're supposed to click. So when it says roll to, whatever, by the roll button, and when it says slide over to go to the farm, put that up by the slider. It's a simple change, but it'll make it much clearer to a new player.
Am I able to just click this over and over?
Yeah, it's kind of a clicker. So you do that, and I shouldn't be telling you this. I should be letting you play. I can't help myself.
I was concerned because I thought I had only one of them. Let's see. So you can just play them over and over. So what would be the purpose of buying more than one? I guess more than one plot?
I think it's more than one plot.
Oh, I need to get my money. That's what's going on. Okay. So I'm wondering, is there going to be upgrades that allow me to do more than one plot at a time, like clicking them? Because honestly, what's the point of having more than one plot if I can only click one and grow it if it's not growing automatically?
I think I know the answer to your question, but I want to see if you can discover it. All
right, I'm ready to run my farm without a bonus. I can't read what that yellow is. Unlock tile is all I can read. So
Toxic, what is your excuse? I know why Knox can't read stuff because his first language is Canadian. But what's your? Is it that it's too small, or is it that it's the color?
It's the
This is good
color of
feedback.
it, right? Right, because it's like such a light colored yellow that I got to get my face like right up, and I still can't even read it. I think it's the price of it. So yeah, it just needs to be, especially for mobile devices. I think that you're going to need to increase the text size and definitely the text color for the price of the upgrades. So I'm still wondering. So I unlock a tile by doing that, but right now I don't really have any use for that extra tile because I haven't even filled up the.
So, Toxic, what's going through your mind? What are you thinking as you play through this?
I'm thinking that I don't know.
Sorry, you know what? I realized I had it on mute for a second. Apologies if I talked over you with that. I realized I couldn't hear what you're saying. I'm back.
Okay, no, you're fine. My thought is why do I have all these plants if I don't have enough seeds to put them there? I get that I need to build up. But while I'm doing this one, I can't do this one.
So my understanding, because I played this a little bit yesterday, one of the upgrades, it's like a lot of clicker games. You can upgrade to like an automatic clicker or whatever. I believe one of the upgrades is like a clicking hand that will do some of the clicking for you. But I feel like this is something that yeah, there you go. Well, actually, I could be wrong about that. That actually might not be what it does. I think though that if there is a way to kind of automate the clicking, that should probably pop up sooner, because I think, Toxic, your confusion is something a lot of players are going to hit, which is how do I play the game if I have to manually click every plant, right?
Right. The clicking.
What does rolling do? It just makes the thing spin.
Rolling gives you a new plant to plant, but it costs money. So if you don't have the money to buy it, you have to pass on it.
Gotcha. So it definitely rolls.
So a hand. So let's see how this works.
Okay, so Moss says the harvester and the sprinkler is in the shop, and those are apparently how you automate the process. So, Toxic, what do you think about that? Do you think that I mean, I think technically that makes sense, but how do you feel about that as a player?
Well, my confusion set in real early. I think that should be part of your tutorial, and I think it should be one of the first things that the player learns how to do. I think that by the time the player finishes the tutorial, he should understand exactly how to play the game. And I feel that I was just kind of let go real early, and I don't really understand exactly what I'm supposed to do. I understand this. I understand the roll part. It kind of walked me through that. But once I get to the farm, I'm just kind of like, okay, we click, we collect, but how do I get more? So I think the overall onboarding needs a little bit of work. Maybe I need to read this like I probably should have. So apparently I have quests that I didn't even bother to look at, even though it was kind of in my face. And he does have an exclamation point on there, and it's even got a hover effect. I just happen to not even see it. So I guess the first thing I need to be doing is actually just working on carrots. So
yeah, so I think then the biggest change, and I think this is good feedback, Toxic, is that the tutorial should make the automation clear from the jump so that players know where the clicking eventually goes. I think everything else but the game is shaping up. I think the game's got good personality. I like the way it looks. I think it's kind of cool that you've got, I mean, okay, I think it's kind of cool that you have to switch between like conveyor belt mode and farm mode. I don't know if it's a great idea, but it's interesting. So I think that's all good. I think the biggest change though is what Toxic is saying, which is make this game easier to understand as a whole from that tutorial. Like, you know how to plant, you know how to crop, or you know how to harvest, and you know how to automate. If you know all those things, I think you're in better shape coming out of the tutorial.
So I'm curious too as to why the pickup tool is the first thing I'm able to get. Why is that important? Because I didn't really see much of a use for it. I feel like the sprinkler or the harvester would be the first thing that I would actually want to go for, but they're actually quite expensive. So I have to play for quite a while to get this auto harvester. So just what's the purpose of the pickup tool, and why did you give that to me first? Because I feel like the first thing that you're going to give to me that's free should have a big impact on the way the game plays. And I don't really feel that does a whole lot of anything except for just simply let me pick them up.
Well, let's let's see how this game shapes up. I think this is good feedback. We saw it yesterday. Hopefully, we'll see another version either tomorrow or next week. So, Moss, keep the good work. But yeah, definitely think about onboarding. I think that's the biggest thing this game can improve. I'm going to move on to another game in a minute. But before we do, Pika has revealed that he's got exams tomorrow and needs some good luck. So let's all, as a chat, collectively wish Pika the best of luck tomorrow because Pika earns it. He works very hard. Now, secretly, I do kind of hope that he fails all of his exams selfishly so he can stay with Astrocade forever. But I know that ultimately I should want the best for Pika. So go get him, buddy. We know you got this.
It is 3 p.m. Oh, sorry. Your time is lunchtime. Are we continuing?
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up soon. Knox, if you got to run, no worries. You've been super helpful.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Knox.
Okay, so we are left with the toxic half of Noxic, which some would say is the best half.
well,
I'm going to do...
It's
I
like
kid
50-50. 50-50.
50-50. That's fair.
Half and half.
It's no coincidence you guys have similar names. You're similarly reliable. How about this? I am really trying to turn over a new leaf. I'm doing a terrible job, but I feed on everyone's criticism, so keep it coming. I'm going to try to speed run through a few games and see if I can just quickly play them, quickly give some feedback, and move on. Because we really need to cover more games. It's a great problem to have. You guys share so many games every day. It's awesome, but we need to live up to our end of the bargain and actually give you guys more feedback. So stand back, everybody. I'm about to start speed running. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to.
Oh, here you go. Let me give you your screen back.
Thank you, Toxic.
Yeah.
You are welcome, Moss. Thank you for sharing, and thanks to everybody for sharing. It's super helpful. Okay, the next game is Neon Core Arena by Khan Abdul. Neon Core Arena, play. Okay, no idea what this is. Let's find out. Moving around with arrow keys. Ooh, okay, it's like an auto shooting game. I'm in this sort of glowing arena. Okay, this is cool. I love the basic idea, which is I just explore. I guess it's kind of a survival type game, kind of like Vampire Survivors, where I've got all these bad guys coming towards me, and I auto shoot, and it's basically my job to outmaneuver them. So right off the bat, I identify this game mechanic as a good one. I think you've chosen well. I'm a huge fan of these kind of survivor games. They're very fun. So I'm running around, I'm shooting these guys. Oh, and in true survivor fashion, I get periodic upgrades. I think I want rapid fire. Okay, so here are my thoughts. I think the basic game is great. It looks like you've got all the basic structure worked out. Where I would like to see this go next is definitely juice. I think juice is what this game needs. Here's the first thing I would like to see more of. Notice that when I move around, my movements are very linear and very sharp. Like I start and I stop very precisely. That's not really what you want in most games because it feels kind of artificial. So what I would add, and you can just ask Astro to do this, is make the movement of the player feel a little more physical with like speeding up, slowing down, maybe you slide a little bit. It doesn't have to be a big change, and you don't want to make the game like hard to control, but if you add a little bit more organic movement, it'll just make the game feel a lot more real. So that's a slight change I would add. Another one that I might add is it might be more fun if I just had more enemies. When I think about games like Survivor.io and stuff, the fun of the game is you have this giant horde of enemies chasing you. So I think this is off to a good start, but it just feels like there's just not enough coming after me. Although what I do love is look how quickly we have all this variety. There are now like 3 or 4 different kinds of enemies chasing me, different looks, different speeds. So that's good, but I think you can just give me a little bit more. And then one more thing is I think you have a little bit of a magnet effect. Like when I get close to these collectibles, they kind of zoom towards me, which is great. I would expand that though. I think the radius is too small. I have to get a little too close to them. That's my opinion. But other than that, it's good. So I would say make it more intense, make it a little bit juicier, but the underlying game is great. One more note, by the way, play testing is all about getting different opinions. So you've heard my opinion, but I'm just one guy. So play test it with at least 1 or 2, ideally 3 more people. See if they have similar feedback. If they do, that's a great sign. It means everyone is agreeing. If they don't have similar feedback, it at least means you have different ideas you can think about. You can make a choice between the feedback that you get. So this game is getting to the point where there's a lot chasing me, which is good. I just want to get here a little bit faster. But very cool. Nicely done. Okay, speed run continues. I think that was reasonably efficient. What do you think, Toxic?
I think that was efficient.
Thank you. Okay,
Faster than I could do.
I'm gonna keep going. Toxic takes his time, but the benefit is you get a lot of good feedback from him. I'm going to try to be the opposite. I will go way too fast, and you'll get nothing of value from me. That's my goal. Okay, you know what? I went too fast. Froggy Feast. I should have named the game. Okay, select your frog. Whatever this means, it's a cute idea. I don't know if it's a great idea because if you're a new player, you don't really know what this means. So maybe start the game with a default choice and then let me choose my frog as I progress. That's just some quick feedback. I'm going to go with. Definitely don't think this should be at the start of the game because, again, a new player will not know what this means. Just start me off in normal mode and then let me figure it out later on. But now that I'm in the game, this is very cool. I've got stuff flying around, and it is my job as a frog, I think, to just collect stuff. One thing I'm noticing, and I'm sure this is intentional, but I don't really know why, is that the tongue is very fast when I'm shooting it towards bugs, but it's very slow when it comes back. Maybe there's a reason for that. It's not totally clear to me why. It kind of feels like it'd be more fun if it was fast in both directions, because then I could really spam the game and collect a bunch of stuff. That's a one kind of piece of feedback. But other than that, it's a pretty simple and pretty fun game. I like this concept. What I love about this game is I did not require any kind of a tutorial. I just immediately started clicking and it worked. I think any kind of game mechanic that you don't have to explain is especially strong, and this game has one of those. I don't love the graphics though. I appreciate that you're going for kind of a cartoony style, but I would ask Astro to actually create proper, textures for the frog and for the bugs. I just think it would look a little bit more polished, but that's a minor superficial thing. I think the game itself is pretty good. What do you think, Toxic? Just observing.
I had the same observation about the tongue as well. I'm curious, does your tongue get larger or something because you have spider webs up there that you can catch the bugs that are being caught in them?
Yeah, I was
Yes,
kind of
there are-
wondering the same thing.
There are upgrades there.
Oh, we've got the critter here, right?
Yeah. We got upgrades for the tongue, like
Okay,
longer
let's see.
tongues, faster, stronger.
Wait a second. Is that what these are down here? Is this how close I am to the upgrades?
Well, you have plenty
Those
of
are
money.
upgrades of the tongue.
Oh, it looks like I can
That's
already
the
use
level.
Tongue
Sorry.
upgrade.
Yes. Okay. So here's something I did not. Oh, wow. Cool. Here is something I didn't immediately know. I didn't know that I could click these. So I mentioned that your game mechanic doesn't really require a tutorial, and that's true. That's great. But the rest of your game might need a little bit of handholding. So maybe after I've snatched a few bugs, you can have a little finger pop up here and say, click this, and you can change the dimensions of the tongue to grab more bugs or whatever. Because now that I know I can do that, it's really fun because I can like rack up points and upgrade, but I didn't know I can do that. So I would add a little brief tutorial that points out, click these upgrades to buy them. But see now, the game is playing way better now. So maybe I get why the tongue is slow at first because you upgrade it, like you said. It actually is kind of cool that I had to earn the faster tongue move. So that I think is a good idea. Boy, this game is getting a little gross.
I was going to say, I'd like to point out that those spiders are literally capturing or wrapping those bugs up in little.
Yeah, it looks like the
web
spiders are
cocoons.
competing with me. Like the spiders are actually taking my food.
Oh, right. Is that the
That's super
intention?
cool. Can I grab the spider?
Yeah, but
Oh, you can. Okay, he's collecting it for you.
yeah, try to grab the spider.
All right. I'm racking up all the tongue upgrades I can, which is an r/brand new sentence. But I got him.
Oh,
Yes.
look at the web that came. Oh, he's going
Uh-oh.
back.
Wait a second. No, dude. No. What? All right. This spider is OP. I don't know why. I can do nothing to stop his rampage. But the fact that I can interact with the spider all is great. Maybe the idea is I can only delay him, which maybe the idea is I can never stop the spider, but I can hold him back, which is that alone is a cool idea. All right, I got to say this.
He's touching you.
Oh, he is. He's kind of organizing them for me. Okay. All right, this is awesome. I think this game is great. It's got a lot of little hidden surprises. Two pieces of feedback. One, you can just clean up these visuals. Astra can really do a much better job. I think the branches are good. I would leave those, but the spider, the bugs, the frog, I think they can be better. The lily pad. And then just make sure the user knows they can click these. And that's it. I think everything else you've done is really good. This is a really, really original game, and it's fun to play. I'm kind of addicted even as we're talking about it.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to speed run one more, and then I'm going to have to wrap it up. But Toxic, if you got a little more time to go through a couple more, no pressure, but it'd be great if you wouldn't mind helping out.
Oh yeah, that's the usual.
Awesome. Okay, Weapon Arsenal Case Tycoon. Ready? Let's go. Wow. Wow. Okay. So I know this is similar to a game on Player's Choice. I am probably not the target audience for this because this game, I know it's relatively simple, but there's just so much going on that I'm not usually the kind of player that figures out all the details. But I think this is really, really well done for what it is. So I think the idea is that I just grab these things, I open them up. It's like the game is like oops, all loot boxes, basically. So I'm collecting what I get from, by the way, great use of like a goofy font. Like you've done a good job of styling this game. This game looks like you put a lot of thought into the style, which is really cool to see. I'm just going to keep kind of spamming here and just seeing what I get. So, by the way, core mechanic. What is the core mechanic of this? Core mechanic is collection, as far as I can tell. Collection and kind of curating a collection, which is a fun thing. People love to collect. I said I'm not really the target audience, but I really do like collecting stuff. So even I kind of get into it, even though I act like I don't want to play this game. Once I start playing, I kind of get into the groove. So it's cool to see that I'm, racking up this collection of guns. I can access more and more powerful boxes. And then there's this waiting, like the secondary mechanic, I guess, is kind of timing because these things don't open immediately. So the fact that it takes time to open them up, and I guess a rare box takes more time than a common box, makes it feel like everything has value, which is really, really cool. Yeah, I like this. I think, and it looks great. I mean, look at these visuals. It's super polished. A ton of thought and style has gone into making it look really, really professional. I guess if I hit this I button, it'll show me what could be in there, what possible drops are. I keep getting common, but that's okay. That's part of the dynamic is you've just got to suffer through the common stuff.
Each time you get a common as well, it upgrades the common that you already have to a better version of that common.
Ooh, great detail. Okay, cool. But yeah, I mean, what's great about this game is that even though there's a ton of details, the core mechanic is super simple. I just keep grabbing boxes. I hope that I get something good, and then I rack up money to spend on better and better boxes. Are you kidding me? Okay, so part of the dynamic of this game is rage and frustration. I'm on an emotional roller coaster right now, everybody. But that's life. That's how life goes. I'm gonna go with rare because I've been shooting for the stars with epic, and I don't think it's served me well. So I'm going to try to split the difference and do rare and see what happens. This is a game that is, by the way, this is perfect for streaming. We really want to see more people stream Astrocade games. So if any of you are like burgeoning streamers, Jesus. Okay, whatever. I think streaming Astrocade games is like untapped potential, especially a game like this. This is like a super stream happy kind of game because there's a lot of stuff to react to. All right. Ooh, finally. Yes. Okay. So look at that.
I don't think that's a scar, though. And why don't you have it in your... You said it was a scar, right? But I don't think that was a scar. Maybe I don't know my weapons.
Yeah, right here. Isn't this it?
Yeah, is that a scar? That's a scar with an automatic.
Okay, we're not all gun experts. For all I know, this is like the gun from Avatar. I don't know.
Play some Call of Duty sometimes. Come on.
But see, this is why streaming is so good because, even the streamer is not going to be an expert, and then people in the chat are like, dude, don't you know what a scar is? Ooh, rare. Okay. So, all right, so I kind of got lost in this game. I said I didn't want to play it, and it won me over. So I think this game is great. I actually don't have a lot of feedback. Toxic, what do you think?
I played this game before, so I already gave a bit of feedback on it. I think it works really well. I love the visuals. I like how we have different play fields, the top versus the bottom. The one thing that really the only thing that I really asked for that I don't think I see in here is when I upgrade my guns, it's cool and all because I get more coin, but I want to see a scope on my gun or some kind of a trigger guard or some kind of something when I'm upgrading them because to me it doesn't feel like I'm upgrading them visually. I know I'm getting it through coins. But for some reason, I just want to see stage 1, stage 2 of each weapon. But above all,
Cool
though,
idea.
I think
That's
the
a good
game
idea.
runs and looks, and I actually think this game will do quite well on the platform.
I could totally see that happening. We never want to make promises here at office hours, but I would put money on this game doing pretty well. So I think you've done a great job. I don't know if the creator's here, but nicely done. And for everyone else watching, this is a great example of taking a game mechanic and just building a beautiful game around it. Like really nicely done, but it's super simple at its core. You just click, collect, and just repeat the process. So this is awesome. Okay, I'm going to try to speed run one more. I think we've done a decent job of balancing a lesson with some play testing. As always, if we didn't get to your game, oh wait, same game. Sorry. As always, if we didn't get to your game, just keep submitting. We'll do our best to get to it at some point. So the next one, it's another blockbuster or another, I guess, breakout clone called Blockbuster Blitz. This is not quite a tutorial, but I still recommend keeping text to a minimum on your title screen. So just a side note. We've got the classic rainbow breakout style. We were talking about juice last time around, and this is a game that has a little bit of juice going. So that's cool
I
to
would also
see.
like to point out that we mentioned earlier that we do get a lot of these games, and so this is an example. We have two of almost completely the same games in Astrocade at the same time. So you can imagine how many of these games are actually on the platform. Oh,
Wow. So, okay, you know what this game's claim to fame is? It's that you will score 500 buffs and power ups at once, and it will be chaos. That's actually a fun idea. I don't know if it's intentional, but you'll notice that this this game is just like a chaotic blur of power ups, and I don't hate it. I think it's kind of cool. I do think there may be a bug here. I feel like the game has entered a kind of an unplayable state. Um, so, okay, there may be a bug where the game gets kind of stuck because I don't think anything's happening. But the fact that I got every power up at once was actually really fun. So maybe
yeah,
if the angle you're going for is chaos, I think that's great.
I think that we have two games on the opposite spectrum. One that
Yes.
has way too much juice and too much
Yep.
happening at one time, and the other one that needs more juice. So I think both
Yep.
of these could find a middle ground between the
Or
two.
maybe this game could do a juice donation to the other game. But honestly, though,
Yes.
I really like the fact that this is so overwhelming. I think the fact that I got 50 power ups in one shot was unlike any experience I've had in a breakup game. A breakup game? Wow. I don't think we have breakup sims on here yet. We have a couple dating sims, but no breakup sims. But I've never played a breakout game that had quite that quality to it. So that was actually really cool. It may have been unintentional, but I like it. All right, so I have got to run, but I want to repeat a few quick things for you guys. So first of all, what I am actually going to go leave this session to go do immediately is get back to putting this together for you. So we are going to, as soon as possible, have an online built-in Astro Academy experience for all of you guys with some new content coming soon. So this is my priority for the next few days. To recap, we did a lesson 2 live lecture. If anybody wants another lesson that we do a live discussion on, let me know. Ideally in the Astro Academy channel, I will see it there. Pika will help surface your requests, and we will be. I mean, we'll be back tomorrow, but we'll be doing this through next Wednesday after next. We'll be doing it every weekday, so there'll be plenty of time to cover other lessons if anyone's interested. I may just do this again tomorrow, pick a random one, but we're taking requests. We've got Toxic and Nox here. You guys were super helpful. I really love this idea of like we kind of all review the game together. I like the kind of shared conversation, so maybe we keep doing that. But other than that, it's all about you guys. So please keep showing up. Please share your games. If we didn't get to your game today, as always, we will try to get to it next time. I think that's basically it. Anything else, Toxic?
Nope. I'll be here for another hour and a half. So if anybody wants
Oh
their
wow!
games
Okay,
reviewed,
great.
if you could put them
Toxic will
in,
for sure get to your game, and he is a great reviewer. So please avail him of his wisdom. Sorry, Toxic. Go ahead.
no, you're good. I do ask, so if you guys want to put your games in the regular chat, if you want them reviewed, that way I don't got to go through all the games and to submit your game.
Oh, great, cool. All right. Well, this sounds good. It's been another great office hours. Thanks, guys. We'll see you all soon, and thank you, Toxic and Pika, of course.
Always.
All right, bye, guys.
Later. All right, looks like Erica's up first. Pika, do you want us to hang out here, or should we move down to the Ambassador Lounge, or are we good here? Thanks for recording, Pika. Let's go lounge. Okay. All right. So look, if you guys want your games reviewed, we're going to move down to the lounge. Go ahead and start posting your games in that channel. Erica, I'll make sure I get yours first, and then we'll go over to Octruyer.